ranches.
All right, now, questions abound on the fate of the National Super Alliance Coalition with the ongoing row on the constitution of the Parliamentary Service Commission. MPs drawn from three NASA affiliate parties have dared Wiper Party to quit the coalition if they cannot back down on their demand to have a slot in the PSC. The MPs from ODM, Amani National Congress, and Ford Kenya protested the move by Wiper to write to the Speaker demanding for a slot in the PSC. So those are the latest unravelings in NASA. I want us to cross over to the City Centre studio and speak to Jared Okello, who's the Honourable Member of Parliament for Nyando constituency. Good morning. Thank you for joining us here on the News Centre. Now, I want us to begin from the seeming infighting between NASA and that alliance seemingly against Wiper. What is your comment about this latest unravelings?
Thank you very much, Betty. Nice to be back in studio. Well, democracy demands that there could be intra-coalition disagreements. It could be a healthy disagreement or an unhealthy disagreement. But democracy would so demand that people do not have the same line of thinking and that the thought processes must always be fragmented so that the very tenets of that particular democracy can be enhanced and can be effectively built. Now, we have had issues with our coalition partners lately, of course, the epitome of which was demonstrated on the 30th of last month when our People's President, His Excellency Dr. Engineer Raila Amolo Odinga, was sworn into office. It was widely expected that the coalition partners would be present and the President, together with his deputy, were bound to swear into office. We, got into the arena in good time. Of course, it followed an arrangement or a People's Assembly that was convened in Homa Bay, where all the NASA principles made it clear that the brakes towards attainment of a new democratic ideal had broken, and this truck would actually land at the doorstep of the swearing-in arena. So at the point when it gathered its brakes, when it was rolling, still remains a mystery. But suffice to say, that demonstrated a very severe discord within the coalition itself. Every reasoning that was presented by these principals who gave it a wide berth have never been convincing at all. And, they've also been jumping from one explanation to another, depending on the agitation by the people. So I think that is a demonstration that things were not very rosy within NASA as a coalition. Now,
then what next?
A letter was written, as you allude. As you have alluded, a letter was written by the Wiper party's leader, His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, to the Speaker of the National Assembly, nominating one of his party adherents to represent NASA coalition within the Parliamentary Service Commission. Now, first and foremost, if you look at the Memorandum of Understanding between NASA coalition parties, there is absolutely nowhere that parliamentary slots were part of the arrangement in case the leadership of this country or the government could be secured. So that in itself, therefore, puts everything back to a gentleman's agreement. I know in the coalition arrangement that the division amongst the departments within government is what was agreed upon. Anything to do with parliamentary leadership or parliamentary committees or chairmanship of any committee, that wasn't part of the arrangement. So every argument begins there. Now, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka then writes a letter to the Speaker of the National Assembly, which in itself abrogates and negates the very channels that any correspondence between Parliament and political parties must follow. The standing orders are very clear. that such an arrangement can only be done by either the majority leader for the party in government or the minority leader in parliament. And therefore, for Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka to directly write to the Speaker and the Speaker of the National Assembly, in his wisdom, or perhaps lack of it, accepts that letter and presents it to a relevant committee, in itself illegal. So what we are doing as ODM party,
yes,
we
right
have
now.
written a protest note through. We have written a protest note through our majority leader, Honorable Mbadi, putting everything into perspective. And I think at that point, therefore, we are going to reach a solution. But I want to reiterate the fact that divisions within a coalition arrangement is very healthy. Otherwise, if people were to think the same line, then that portends dictatorship as is being espoused within Jubilee coalition.
All right. Thank you for that. Explanation. But then what's the way forward? Because as much as you mentioned that this is a healthy infighting that we're seeing, really what we're hearing on the ground is questioning if indeed NASA will hold.
Well, we are at the very initial stages of the next regime. So, teething problems are bound to occur. Certain steps that perhaps a particular coalition divide has taken may not be in sync with the expectations of the other. So these are teething problems that, will form part of this process going forward. 2022 or August of this year that we are agitating to have the next round of elections, I would call it still a bit far. So if we were to, try to poke holes on the welfare of a coalition party at these initial stages, then I think we may be extending and overstretching our imagination. But what I can say is that the NASA principles, 4 in number, have always struck a very good working relationship. And therefore, if there are friction, either emanating from members of parliament or from amongst themselves, then they have the wherewithal and conviction to put that to rest and have the coalition move forward. The Kenyan people are looking at NASA as a coalition to be the oversight, to be the prefect. Otherwise, Jubilee left the way things are today, and you were discussing about the letter written to the judiciary by some guy called Tuju, who I hear is the Secretary General of Jubilee Party. So with all this, institutions, independent institutions under siege by Jubilee, then you have a NASA that may not therefore champion the interests of the people.
All right.
And this country is headed to serious fragmentation.
All right.
And the loser at the end of the day is the Kenyan people.
Right. Thank you very much. I've been speaking to Jared Okello, who's the Honourable Member of Parliament for Nyando constituency. I want to bring in the voice of 2 political analysts, and I'll start with Charles Omango, who's joining me here in studio. Thank you very much for joining us after a long time.
Yeah, it has been a while.
It's been a while.
Yes.
For sure. What do you make of what NASA, this infighting that we're seeing, the jostling for positions in the various committees, is all well?
Thank you very much, Betty. The honorable member who have just spoken is my MP anyway.
Okay.
But
so we're expecting nothing too different from what he would say?
No, we have different line of thoughts. More importantly, Betty, it is a common ground that the NASA coalition is headed to disintegration. In as much as the disagreements in coalitions are things that are always there, one would draw that the event of the 30th January 2018 is what has set things rolling. Remember, 2 days before that, all the coalition principals committed to their supporters that we are on this road and we are not going to stop either until we take oath and we get it going forward.
Right.
Now you see the questions of representation in various committees of parliament has now come out. Now Wiper Party writing a letter individually signed by himself not through the communication parliamentary process that they have put together as NASA coalition. Therefore, and if you look even what was being proposed again as regards to Mr. Joe Aniri being replaced by Queen Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., all points toward this one direction, that there is a lot of acrimonious issues within the coalition, and it will not take long before the coalition disintegrate and mutate into another coalition or another party, whichever form that it will take.
Right.
And you see, the ODM members of parliament have made it very clear. They are having, maybe probably, I saw they were saying they will have their NEC meeting on a Friday next week that will be followed by a National Governing Council meeting. And they are going to embark on an overdrive to revamp and strengthen the party. What does that one tell you? It tells you that they have now decided that now it is ODM and it is no longer a NASA coalition.
Is it that way? Or because we're seeing, you know, ANC, Ford Kenya, and ODMs almost on one side, and then you see Wiper alone. Are we likely to see a disintegration, but just with two factions coming out of this coalition?
Not really only two factions. You remember Honorable Savula, who is the MP for Lugari, said that they've been taken for a ride. So with them as ANC, they are keen in going alone or seeking new alignments. And that one indeed was disputed by Honorable Sosi, who is the Secretary General, the Kakamega Senator. So all these issues point towards the one direction, Betty, that it is not only Wiper. In the fullness of time, you'll realize that even ANC, because now they are also saying the party's choice is Senator Joe Aniri. And on the other side, Wiper is also fronting Mheshimiwa Mutula Senator. So all this tells you, Betty, that the parties themselves, that spirit of the coalition, of the NASA coalition, is slowly dying. And they are resorting back to their individual parties. Yeah, so all these pointers are just like that the NASA coalition is dying. Or either way, even if then it doesn't die, then either one party will remain with it and seek new alliances with the same coalition.
Interesting. Let's also put Kalonzo Musyoka in focus. And, you know, there's been a lot of talk whether he's going to be sworn in or not. You know, the part of the party comes out and says he will not. It's not constitutional. Another party says that this will actually go on. What does that tell you? And also going by the fact that he did not attend that swearing in on the 30th of January.
It is a very sad thing for Mheshimiwa Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Kalonzo Musyoka in the past demonstrated a leader that is highly indecisive. He sometimes say this, what I want to do, and tomorrow he wakes up and say that this is the route, this is the way we are taking. So he's someone that I think Kenyans and even his own party have started and realized that he's a man that can never be trusted. He indeed said that mimi na ndugu yangu Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga tutaendelea na safari hii liwe liwalo. That was the Swahili version of what Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka said.
Yeah.
Then of late again he's saying that the oath was illegal. And as a lawyer like myself, I'm very much sad if we can have such a person that does not stand for anything. Because at the same time he's recently quoted saying that I will take the oath if indeed my supporters push me to do so. At the same time, he's saying that it is illegal.
Yeah.
And he's again ceding ground saying if he's pushed, he will take the oath. And again, at the same breath, he's saying, I will take oath after consultation within NATA. There is ongoing consultation among the principals. Yes. So he will take the oath. So
there's no stand.
Honestly, he doesn't have a stand.
Right.
And it is high time that Kenyans, irrespective of your political affiliation, irrespective of the region you come from, those whom we want to start trusting with the leadership of this country or the leadership even of your ward or even the leadership of your sub-county must be people that have something to stand for. Because a leader must be someone that must be believed by its word. If I said it is in the morning, it is in the morning. But if you find a leader with such an experience that have been in the government since 1983, being someone that cannot stand for something, it is an insult to Kenyans.
Right. All right. I want to bring in also Charles Kipkley joining us from our City Center studio. Charles, good morning. I'm sure you've been following up on the conversation I've been having with Charles Omanga. And of course, we started this conversation from the fact that, there's already this jostling and infighting with regard to positions, in Parliament with regard to NASA. What is your take? Do you feel like this is going to be the beginning of the end of NASA, or is it just a healthy, battle that, normally results from siblings?
Well, good morning, Betty, and welcome. Thank you for having me back. I think I want to say that a while ago, even before the election, I stated here that Kalonzo Musyoka is the weakest link within the NASA coalition. And this has come to manifest itself, especially at this point, where we are seeing now a lot of rivalry happening. It is not sibling rivalry. What is happening here is a clash of ambitions, in the sense that in all essence, 2017 is done. Therefore, the focus of all of the principles within NASA, the coalition, is in 2022. So the selfish aspect has kicked in. Everyone is looking at self-preservation. Therefore, going forward, we are going to see more of this. What is happening in Parliament is a convenient excuse within maybe the wiper section, just to justify why they are doing what they are doing. But the real reason is 2022, they need to position themselves and to disengage. And at this point, you cannot just walk away like that, because it's not going to be easy. You need an excuse. So NASA finds itself in very treacherous waters, and I do not see it coming out very soon. It may even get uglier than this, because at this point, we are looking only at Kalonzo Musyoka because of the question of the oath. What about the two other principals who are also missing? So after focus shifts from Kalonzo, then it goes now to Musalia Mudavadi and also Moses Wetangula. They also individually have to explain themselves, even to especially the Raila Odinga, the core Raila Odinga support base, why they missed out.
Interesting. Charles, what do you have to say that? And of course, looking forward into, the future of this coalition. And he says that, this was a clash of ambitions. Now that the 2017 election is over and we're looking now to 2022, what kind of realignments are we likely to see then?
Betty, there would be a lot of realignments. That one I can assure you. Because going by what is now happening, just as my colleague there said that it is a clash of ambition, and now the focus is in 2022. One thing that I want to repeat is that Honorable Musalia Mudavadi would have taken much of political capital by gracing the January 30th event.
Right.
And you see, when he dropped...
Isn't it the same for everybody?
No, it would have not been really the same for everybody, because you see, Raila Odinga said that he would not intend to run in the 2022 elections.
Yes.
But you see now, by failure, by his core principles to fail to attend and show up in the oath ceremony, it means that he's already, the baggage is gone. Now he's like, I told you we go do this thing that you left me at the hour of need. Therefore, he has actually re-engineered his 2022 presidential ambitions. Therefore, what we are going to witness, there was going to be a very serious realignment within the national coalition, and even with other political. Remember, our day in politics is like a century. A lot of things can change. You would really see those whom you thought cannot come together, coming together, and now again defining a new political vehicle. Therefore, I would not really want to belabor much on the Kalonzo Musyoka question, because again, he said again the other day that even if it means him supporting Raila Odinga again in 2022, he's ready and willing to support him again as president. So you can see all these kind of contradictions blowing hot and cold at the same time, which is not very healthy for our political democracy, because you cannot say that we would be in this circumloculating at each and every time. We don't have a clear path that this is how the opposition is going to move forward. So I think it is a matter of wait and see, but at least for their supporters should be very much worried that they might not be together in the fullness of time.
Wow. All right, Charles, coming to you. Yesterday, a number of NASA leaders came out and said that in 10 days they will be launching the National People's Constituent Assembly. What do you make of this? We've had, NASA leaders coming out to make quite a number of declarations. This is the latest one, that they're going to be having this National People's Constituent Assembly. Now, with everything that's happening, are we really likely to see the fullness or the success of this People's Assembly as, NASA envisioned?
Well, Betty, you see, they say that everything rises and falls with leadership. Even if the NASA People's Constituent Assembly is formed and they assemble, they have a problem at the leadership. Therefore, there will be no impact because their leaders at the top are not agreeing. They have a president. They have a people's president. They do not have a deputy president. Therefore, they have a problem right from the beginning. So what I see is that there is a lot of problems until they fix the issue of the leadership, then the assembly itself can never take off. And right now, what we are seeing is that the constituent parties are now pulling in different directions. The selfish element has come in. And back to the previous question that you were asking, when you look at the principles, the 4 principles, the only person who has no history of betrayal within the NASA coalition at the principal level is Moses Wetangula. You remember in 2007, in the run-up to the 2012 elections, Musalia Mudavadi bolted out of ODM, and he said that the reason is that Raila Odinga promised to support him, but then the excuse by Raila was that was overcome by events because then they never won. Therefore, he's still validly in the race. So going into 2022, that is the same thing. So until they sort the issues of their infightings, these assemblies, whatever they are going to hold them, shall hold no water, because at the end of the day, even the swearing in on January 30th was actually supposed to be the convention, the whole convention. So you cannot have a convention, yet you have not sorted the in-house issues of the swearing in.
Right, interesting. Okay, Charles, your final thoughts on NASA and the future of the party. What happens when this party dissolves? What happens to Raila Odinga? What happens to Kalonzo Musyoka? Are we likely to see them coming out strong, or there's going to be a struggle?
I think they would come out strongly because you see, the NASA, they were not nominated on a NASA ticket. A NASA is a coalition. Yes. NASA is not a political party. Yeah. Raila Odinga was nominated by Orange Democratic Movement. Kalonzo Musyoka, Wiper Party. And Moses Wetangula, Ford Kenya. And Musalia Mudavadi as is ANC, Amani National Congress. Therefore, if NASA disintegrates as a coalition, what will matter is how best each of these principles go back to actually ensure that his party come out stronger, they gain more ground, they get more MPs. Because right now, ODM has 98 MPs in parliament. Kalonzo's wipe around 26, Musalia Mudavadi's 14, and Moses Wetangula's 13. So there is a lot of work to do for this other NASA coalition parties like Wiper, so that they can even increase their number of in parliament, so that even if they were to bargain for these positions that they are jostling about, they have that numerical strength to at least say, we have this number of representation in parliament, and it is only wise that we get this number of slots. Yes. So upon the disintegration of NASA, which is very imminent anyway, these partners, these principles should now go back and subject themselves into a thorough evaluation and analysis, and get very serious and brilliant strategies that can advise them in the correct way going forward. Right. Otherwise, we might, by the time we're going to 2022 elections, we might have forgotten about these individuals, and a new young crop of leaders who are serious, who are committed, who are assertive, and people who can actually believe and stand by what they have always, a cause they believe in. But so that in the future, the country, we do not really have, because, you know, even being in opposition is not a bad thing. And it is important that even if we are having an opposition, we have opposition with leaders who can be trusted, leaders who are committed, leaders who does not have a history of betrayal. Because if you have this betrayal tag, Betty, however best you are, however brilliant, however people love you, at the end of the day, there would be question marks. So they should go back to the boardroom and start doing self-evaluation and analysis.
All right. Thank you very much. Been speaking to Charles Omanga here in studio, and Charles Kipkule